Saludos estudiantes de octavo grado. El día de hoy veremos lo que es la lesson 11.5, solving rational equations, okay? And we are going to explain it using example because it's the easy way to understand when you really use an example. We are going to solve the problem number 1 that say solving equation with rational expressions, okay? Rational expressions mean that you are going to have a division like this. You have fractions, okay? What we need to do first to solve that kind of exercise, you need to find, in this case, the least common denominator. We are going to find the least common denominator with these three terms that we have here, okay? That means that you need to select what is going to be the common denominator. Really easy. First, you will check the numbers. You have 12, you have 2, and you have 3. The greater number is in this case 12. 12 can be divided into, that is going to be equal to 6. And 12 can be divided into 3, that is going to be equal to 4. That means that 12 is going to be part of the common denominator. And also you need to see the variables. In this case, this doesn't have a variable, but this one both has the variable x. You need to put the variable x also like common denominator. Okay. When you already have your common denominator, you need to multiply your equation all the terms but that common denominator. You're going to have something like that. I'm going to copy that, saying that you already have it at the beginning. 5 divided in 12, 1 divided in 2x equal to 1/3 x, okay? In this case, you need to multiply all the terms, put attention, all the terms by the common denominator. That is going to be, in this case, 12x, okay? Means that 12x is going to multiply this term first, then it's going to multiply this term first, and then this term also, okay? If you see what is going to happen, 12 divided in 12 is going to be eliminated, and you're going to have x times 5 in the first one. It's going to be, in this case, this eliminated with this. It's going to be x times 5. I'm going to continue here. It's going to be 5x. And I don't have fraction in this case. It's why we look for the least common denominator. Then when you multiply this times this, you can see that the variable x is going to be eliminated, and you are going to have 12 divided in 2, that is going to be equal to 6. You're going to have -1 times 6. Then you're going to have equal to, and you're going to have x and x are going to be eliminated also. 12 divided in 3 is going to be equal to 4. 4 times 1. You're going to have, in this case, you're not going to have a fraction, just 1 times 4, okay? Then you're going to have this, 5x minus 6 equal to 4. Then solve it. This that is subtracting is going to pass adding in the other side. 4 adding to 6 is going to be equal to 10. And multiplication has to go to divide in the other side. 5, sorry. And it's going to be, in this case, x equal to 2. That's the value that you already get for your answer. But in all these kinds of exercise, you need to do check, okay? Because with the check, you know if you are working in a good way. That means that for all the exercises that we are going to do in that lesson, you need to do the checks, okay? I'm going to do the check. If you remember, in the check, you are going to copy the original equation. That is 5 divided by 12 minus 1 divided into x and equal to, in this case, 1 over 3x. You know that the value of x is equal to 2. We are going to substitute that value on the variable that we already have here, okay? 5 divided in 12 minus 1 over 2 times 2 equal to 1 over 3 times 2, okay? If you do that, you are going to have 5 over 12 minus, in this case, 1 over 4 equal to, in this case, it's going to be 1 over 3 times 2 is going to be 6. You just need to solve this. Common denominator is going to be 12, okay? 12 divided in 12 is 1 times 5 is going to be 5. And 12 divided in 4 is 3 times 1 is going to be 3. -3, okay? Equal to 1 over 6. If you do that, 5 minus 3, you're going to have, I'm going to continue here. You're going to have 2 divided in 12 equal to 1 over 6. If you simplify this, dividing two terms into, you're going to have 1 6 equal to 1 6, okay? That means that your solution is good. It's right answer, okay? Remember, you need to use least common denominator, and then when you already find the value of the variable, you need to do a check also, okay? In the problem number 2, we need to solve that equation that we have by factoring in this case. What we are going to do at the beginning, we are going to do the same. We are going to find the least common denominator, okay? In this case, you can see that you have x to the second power, and that number that they doesn't have a denominator, but if you put the line in 1 here, it's going to be 1 divided by 1 is the denominator. That means that the common denominator is going to be 1, that you don't need to put it, but in the variables you are going to have x and x to the second power. Means that the greater power is going to give me the common denominator, x to the second power. That means, you already know, you need to multiply all the terms by x to the second power. It's going to be x to the second power times 1 minus 1 over x equal to 12 over x to the second power, okay? And when you multiply this, you need to use this three-body property. This is going to multiply this term, then it's going to multiply this term, and then it's going to multiply this term. The principal objective that we have is to eliminate the fractions. We are going to have just normal numbers without fraction or divisions, okay? It's going to be x to the second power times 1, just for show you, you can see it. Then negative x to the second power times 1, x to the second power times 1 divided in x, if you can see it in that way, and it's going to be in the other one, x to the second power times 12 and x to the second power divided, okay? If you multiply this, you're going to have x to the second power, then minus, I'm going to eliminate this x with this x, and you're just going to have 1x times 1 is going to be x, and then equal to, it's going to be eliminated, these two, because are the same, and you're going to have 12, okay? What we need to do now, we need to put in a standard form to do a factorization. I'm going to continue here doing that. You're going to have x to the second power minus x, and that value that is positive is going to be negative in this side equal to 0. Then you also need to get the factors. You need to do parentheses with the variable x at the beginning equal to 0, and then two numbers that when you multiply the number you get 12, and when you add the number you get negative 1. You know that if you multiply 6 times 2 you're going to have 12, but then when you do the difference between the number you're going to have 4 of difference. But I can use 4 and 3 because 4 and 3, 4 times 3 is going to be 12, and if I do a subtraction of these two values I'm going to have 1, and because the value has to be negative, the greater value is going to be the negative. That it means that 4 has to be negative and 3 has to be positive, okay? Now, what we are going to do, we are going to solve for these values to get the value of x in this case. I'm going to have x minus 4 equal to 0 and x adding to 3 equal to 0. If you solve it, you are going to have x equal to 4, that is one value, and the other one is going to be x equal to negative 3, okay? That's the value that we already finding for that kind of exercise, okay? But remember, you always need to do checks to know if you're working in a good way, okay? I'm going to do the checks. I'm going to start with the first check, okay? I'm going to put check here, and it's gonna be x equal to 4, positive 4, that is the first one that I already found. It's gonna be 1 minus 1 over x equal to, in this case, 12 over x to the second power. Means that you're gonna have 1 minus 1 over 4 equal to 12 over x to the second power, 4 to the second power. I'm going to continue here, okay? It's gonna be 1 minus 1, 4. Means that you're gonna have 3 over 4. How you do it? It's like if you have 1 here. How do you remember? Cross multiplication. It's going to be 1 times 4 and 1 times 1. Okay, 4 minus 1 is going to be 3 and common denominator 4. I hope that you remember how to solve it because you need to remember how to do it, okay? And it's going to be equal to 12. 4 to the second power is going to be 16. You can divide both in 4. Okay, if you divide both in 4, you're going to have 3 over 4 equal to 12 divided in 4 is 3, and 16 divided in 4 is 4. That means that your answer is good. Okay? The first one is okay. Now we are going to check the second check, and we are going to use the other answer, that is -3. I'm going to do a separation here, okay? And in this case, you are going to have something like that. 1 minus 1 over x equal to 12 over x to the second power. In this case, x is equal to -3. Okay, you're going to have 1 minus 1 over -3 equal to 12 over -3 to the second power. Negative and negative is going to be positive. It means that you're going to have 1 adding to 1/3. Okay? That is going to be equal to 12. -3 times -3 is going to be positive 9. Okay? Again, it's like if you have 1 here. Cross multiplication, 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 adding to 1 is going to be 4 over 3. Okay? And here, both can be divided in 3. 12 divided in 3 is equal to 4, and 9 divided in 3 is equal to 3. That means that the solution is also good. Okay? That means that the value for that kind of exercise is going to be x equal to 4 and x equal to -3.